It would be.
And we're rolling.
Sweet.
Hey, welcome back to Bozzy Callahan's Word of Advice.
What up?
And for this Word of Advice video, here again is somebody you may recognize from some older Word of Advice videos.
I'm Zach. How's it going?
This is Zach. And he wanted to join in on this Word of Advice video because, number one, Zach loves being in on my Word of Advice videos. Number two, he has a really good story about this topic, and that's focusing on giving our problems to God. And I just wanted to touch upon this topic because, you know, in life, we all go through problems sometimes. Whether it's something really big or small, and some examples of problems, like whether you and a friend have gotten into an argument, or whether you and a significant other have broken up, or perhaps even when you're not totally wanting to study for school and you're getting bad grades, and then, you know, your parents are unhappy with you for it, and then you feel unhappy about it. We all go through problems sometimes, and we can either try to deal with our problems on our own or give them to God and also try to deal with them. And if you want our advice on what to do when it comes to dealing with problems, whatever it is, we would highly recommend giving problems to God. And Zach is going to share a story of a time when he gave a problem to God and had a really good result. Zach?
Let me start off by saying I'm one of your people that likes to try to do everything on my own. I like to be very independent, and I like to just try to get by just by myself. I pray a lot, and I ask God to help me with things, but usually I don't, I try my best to put my problems in God's hands, but sometimes I have trouble like we all do. However, there's this particular instance. I was going through a time where I was moving out of my parents' house, moving into my own place with a roommate, and I was moving out because I was guaranteed a good job, and I was going to be making a lot of money, and I'd be able to pay my bills and everything. Well, come to find out, the job fell through. It was guaranteed, I was given a start date and everything, but the job fell through, and I didn't know what I was going to do.
Bam. Problem.
So, for the first little while, I was just job hunting, looking everywhere I could go. I had already moved into the house that I was moving into, and I didn't know how I was going to go about paying my bills. I didn't know how I was going to do anything. First off, the landlord is a close personal friend of mine. He was cutting me some breaks until I could get a job and work out some financial things, and he was being really cool about it. However, I was still trying to do it on my own. I was like, okay, God, I could use your help here. God, help me a little bit get through this. And then I would just go out and I would just try everything I possibly could, and nothing seemed to be working. And then I ended up filling out an application where a friend of mine works. It's called SureSeal. And there was one day I was sitting at a friend of mine's house, and I was sitting there and I was worrying about how I was going to get this job, if I was going to get a job and whatever, and I just got really worried. So I finally said, all right, God, I'm putting this in your hands. I'm going to try my best to do what I can, but I'm putting it all in your hands, and just tell me what I need to do. Help me figure out what it is I need to do. Right after that, I left. God has 3 answers all the time. It's always yes, no, or not yet. Well, I figured at the moment it was going to be a not yet thing, and I start walking to my house, which wasn't far away. About 5 to 6 minutes later, as I'm walking, my friend that works at SureSeal pulled up next to me. He said, hey, get in. We need to talk. I got in the car. He took me around the block to my place, and he goes, okay, so my supervisor said that you got the job, but she still wants to bring you in for an interview. The job's guaranteed to you, but she just wants to bring you in for an interview and just meet you. And I said, okay, that's awesome. I went in, did my interview, and I have the job now. And I'm paying my bills and everything. Everything worked out because I put my problems in God's hands. However, the way I went about doing it, I didn't just say, here, God, it's all yours. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to give it to you, and you're going to help me through it. I asked for his help. I told him I was putting it in his hands. I asked him for guidance, and then I went about doing what I thought was right. And usually I don't get an answer that quickly, but it was pretty quick, and he had his answer there, and it's all because I just put it in his hands.
I absolutely love Zach's story because, I mean, it kind of shows both sides. Not giving your problems to God and giving your problems to God. You know, at first, Zach tried to handle it on his own, and he was not seeing very good results. But then he did give the problem to God, and yeah, I mean, Zach got an answer really quick.
Don't expect that all the time.
And that's right. I was just about to say, I mean, when you give a problem to God, don't expect that you'll get an answer immediately like Zach did. But remember, God will give you an answer. And also, Zach mentioned another good point. God will answer with a yes, no, or not yet. And no matter what God's answer will be, God knows what is best for all of us. And if God says no to something and you were wishing that it would be yes, just keep in mind, you know, God has his best interest in us, and he's got a plan for us. And sometimes things which are totally unexpected can happen in our lives, and it'll be even better than what we could have even imagined. So my last point, if I can make this, and I know Zach will totally agree with it, is that once we do give a problem to God, don't just sit around and do nothing. You know, like let's say, for example, you are trying to break an unhealthy habit like cussing. You know, you've been dropping a lot of cuss words for a while, and now you realize, I shouldn't be running my mouth like that. So I'm going to give this problem to God. And it's good to give your problem to God, but at the same time, you need to do something about it as well. You know, you need to put some effort into breaking the habit, if that makes sense. And I think Zach wants to make a point on this as well.
Yeah, I really do. Most people, when they give their problems to God, they go, okay, God, you'll handle this. I don't need to do anything. Like, for example, with my story that I just told you, when I was when I was gradually putting the problems in God's hands, I wasn't, okay, here, you handle this, and then just not filling out any applications, just hoping a job would come to me. I would pray about it, and then I would go fill out some applications. If I wouldn't have, nothing would have happened. We still need to make a conscious effort in doing things.
Yep.
Like Bobsy said, if you're trying to quit a bad habit like smoking, say smoking is your habit,
Sure.
and you're like, okay, God, I really want to quit smoking. Can you please give me the strength to do it? And then once you get done praying, you light up a cigarette. That's not going to help you. You have to make the conscious effort. God's not just going to go, okay, you don't want to smoke anymore? You're done. Even Paul, he had a sin, and he said that it was a thorn in his side, and he wanted it to be gone, and he was making an effort to get rid of it and everything, and it just wasn't going away. He still made that effort. He put it in God's hands. God didn't take it away. But he made the effort to get rid of it. Because all our sin is our own selfish desires. You notice you're never tempted to do anything that you don't want to do. I don't know anybody who's ever been tempted to just smash their finger with a hammer. They have to call home early. Hey, hide all the hammers, because if you don't, I'm really feeling like smashing my finger with a hammer, because that hurts and we don't want to do that. We just need to make a conscious effort on doing whatever it is, solving whatever problem. And it could be asking God just to help you, and then like if you smoke a pack a day, try to bring it down to a half a pack a day, just wean yourself off of it. Or if it's something that you're going into a situation that you've never handled before and you don't know how to handle it, ask for his guidance, and then just go about doing it the way you think would be the best way of doing it. And he will have his hands on you the whole time, and it will turn out the way it needs to.
Exactly. Yeah. We have to put our effort into whatever problem we're dealing with, and I'm telling you, we are giving ourselves a better chance of overcoming a problem if we also put some effort into it, instead of just sitting around and expecting God to do all the work for us. We need to do our work too, and God will lead us as well to what is best, and He will always be with us. So, in the end, remember, we are all going to deal with problems. I'm sure anybody out there watching this has dealt with a problem before. And
Unless you're an infant.
Unless you're an infant. But if you are someone who is old enough to realize, yeah, I've dealt with a problem before, well, yeah, I mean, you've dealt with them before, and you're going to deal with problems in the future as well. It happens in everyone's life. But remember, if we give our problems to God, and remember that God has His best interests in us, and also, if we put some effort into overcoming a problem, whatever it is, then we can definitely fight through that problem and reach a better place. Zach, do you have any remaining comments?
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Awesome. Well, this is all we have to say for this word of advice video. And again, this is
Zach. I hope to see you again soon.
and I will see you in another word of advice video.
Cool.
Bye-bye.
Like 10 minutes.